Welcome to TIA's Connectivity Jam, where we have the pleasure of speaking with leaders in our industry on key topics that drive businesses. Joining us on this segment of TIA Now is Gary Bolton, Vice President of Global Marketing at Adtran. Welcome, Gary.
Hey, Deb. It's great to see you again.
Technology is changing at a rapid pace, and with all this change, tell us about the platform economy.
Well, Deb, when we think about the way things are today, I pull my phone out and I want to summons Uber. I hit a button. If I want to, find a room to stay, if I go into the beach, what do? I hit Airbnb. So pretty much everything we do today is going to some kind of platform. And so why is it that these certain companies now, if you think about the 5 most valuable companies in the world, they're all platform-based companies, right? So Apple, Google, Amazon, and so forth. And so why is that, and what is going on there? So if you think about what's happening in the industry and in the world at large, is that we're getting to a point now where the world is largely connected. So over 90% of the world now has some type of broadband connectivity. And in the next few years, we'll have, almost a third of the world will have over 100 megabits of service. So now that everybody's connected and you can pretty much be able to get some level of connectivity anywhere you go, and then we start looking at virtualization. So as things start moving into the cloud, so all of a sudden we have things centralized. And so now we're moving into what we call the platform economy. And so if you think about the way that our industry and most industries have been, it's been more of a pipeline model. And that's where a good or service was created, and then it was pushed downstream to be consumed by whoever we're trying to sell that to, right? So it was very flowed down a pipe like water. But now if we start looking at things like Uber and Airbnb and Amazon and all these platform companies, we see that they are leverage things what's called network effects. And these are, so Airbnb doesn't have any hotel rooms, Uber doesn't have any cars, yet they're the most valuable transportation and hospitality businesses in the world. And that is because they've been able to abstract the value out of the asset. So it's not about a hotel room or a car. It's really about the exchange point of being able to bring producers and consumers together. So if you think about even a platform like YouTube, you might be able to consume a video on YouTube, and then maybe you start to upload your videos, right? And so now you can switch sides and be both a producer or a consumer. You might get a ride on Uber, but then you might all decide you want to be a driver on Uber. And so what happens is this thing called network effects. It's Bob Metcalfe had come up with this, and this is the value of a network is proportional to the number of users, right? So if you think about like a fax machine, if you're the only one with a fax machine way back in the old days, it's not very valuable, right? Or the only one on social media. But the more users, the more value it gains, and that's why the valuations of these companies have grown so astronomical. And so if you think about a multi-sided business model, a platform, it's all about the exchange interaction, and that is, so it's not about the asset, it's about being able to match the producers with consumers. And so what we have to be able to do now in our industry, the telecommunications industry, is how do we move to these platform type models so that we can scale very quickly. Because it used to be we lived in a world where we would be able to do a software release about every 18 months. And we had 5 nines of reliability, and so it was really important that we test the heck out of everything. And so when we were able to deliver, we knew that it was, you're going to have Lifeline voice, and you're going to have, whatever service you get from the telephone company, it's going to be rock solid. And now what we find is that those same companies now are competing against a Google or an Amazon, and these guys are, how often they do software releases, like multiple times a day. And so we've had to change as an industry from being able to have these long processes to be able to do things very, very quickly. And so what that means is that we can't have these threaded monolithic deliveries, but we have to have things to be modular. Like if you think about like an app on your iPhone. So if you pick an app and you put it on your iPhone, you don't have to retest and do regression tests on every possible piece of software that's on your phone. And if that app, for some reason, you don't like it or it doesn't work, you just punt it off. And so it becomes very modular so that, and then when you think about how does that work as a platform, and originally Apple had, this was a closed system, and they said, okay, we're going to develop the software for the iPhone, and they found after about a year, Steve Jobs gave up and said, all right, we're going to provide a software development kit and allow anybody, and what we see is, apps, show up every minute, right? There's endless number of apps. And so that's really the model that you see our industry going to. And so that's what we're, an access part of that, we're calling software-defined access. And so if you think about the cloud platform for access, and in our case, we call that Mosaic. And so that provides a platform that you can be able to provide these modular services on. So that means that you can quickly add these services. And so if you think about our stakeholders, first and foremost, it's the service providers. Well, what are they looking for? Well, number one is they want to have service velocity. They have to be able to deliver services lightning quick because they're competing against the Web 2.0 guys, right? The other thing is that they have to be able to differentiate. It's becoming a commodity world out there. So how do you stand out? So being able to have highly differentiated service. And third, and very important, is being able to make sure this is at very, very low cost because everybody wants stuff at virtually free. So how do you be able to have rapid services, highly differentiated, low cost? And then from a platform perspective is how do you leverage the whole world? And so this is not mean how fast can Adtran develop services or how fast the service provider can develop services, but you can allow everybody to be able to, so you have well-defined interfaces and allow these modular services to be developed. And then if you think about from the ecosystem, we used to have these closed systems where you had to buy all your access equipment from one vendor because it was all proprietary and everything had to interop and work together. And so now that we get to best in class and everything now is, Adtran developed the Yang models that we are able to interface with Netcomp. So now that anybody that does that, we're able to manage those network elements under our Mosaic platform. And then ultimately, the ultimate beneficiary of this is the subscribers. And what does the subscriber want? They want what they want, when they want, and any way they want to be able to consume that. And so, this is basically why you see these, the Ubers and Airbnbs and the Amazons and the YouTubes and things like that being able to scale so quickly is that they're able to leverage these platforms. And so that's where we see the industry heading, is to being able to leverage what we call software-defined access and be able to leverage this network effects and be able to scale very quickly with software-defined access. And in our case, it's Mosaic Cloud Platform.
Thanks so much, Gary.
Thank you for having me.